Yo, what's up? This is Jay Dennis, and we're back with another Ranked and Reviewed. And today, I'm going to be talking about probably the biggest pop punk band of all time, Blink-182. I've been listening to them for at least half my life. No, probably 2/3 of my life. I'm 30 years old. I've been listening to them since I was maybe at least 8 or 9 years old. Back when they hit it big in the late 90s and during the turn of the century. And yeah, listening to them and their albums for the most part as they came out ever since. I want to say right at the front of the video, though, that as I was going through and listening to these albums again and doing this ranking, I had no idea. I don't know if it was intentional or if it was just recently released, but I had no idea that Mark Hoppus is currently, I believe, undergoing chemo and fighting cancer right now. I don't know all the details. I've just seen on Instagram that, he doesn't look great, but he's fighting, and apparently there's high spirits. So I just really hope he pulls through. That was a kind of shocking news to me, and by kind of, I mean really shocking. I mean, shit, the guy's one of my favorite rock stars. I know I don't talk about him a whole lot, but I really like Blink-182. I really like the personalities in that band. I like the guys. I like their voices. Mark Hoppus seems like a really cool guy and a really good guy. So, it really sucks that he's going through that. So I hope he pulls through. But at any rate, I didn't know that was going on while this was happening, so I wasn't making this video to just capitalize on any additional attention they might be getting. This is just circumstantial. But I mean, I've been doing ranked and reviewed videos for a while, and I've probably teased before that I've been willing to do Blink-182 for a while anyway. I just really want to make it clear that if I'm jumping on news or I'm jumping on something that might generate more attention to my channel, I'll be upfront about it. Usually with ranked and reviewed videos, it has to do with a band just put out a new album. That's pretty harmless. I'm not going to use somebody's cancer diagnosis to try to get more attention to my channel. So please heal up, Mark. You're very loved around the world, music and otherwise. So I'm going to say this is mostly going to be a look back on all your awesome albums. Yeah, I get nitpicky on these, but I'm not here to shit on Blink-182 or any of their albums. We're just here to rank and review and talk about why some are the best and some are not. We're going back to Cheshire Cat in 1995 all the way up until their most recent release, 9 in 2019. Obviously, I'm only doing 8 albums here. They said they've put out 9 albums. They count Buddha, but Buddha is basically just a demo of Cheshire Cat. So I'm only doing 8. Even though they say they have 9 and they have an album called 9, I'm only doing 8. And then, of course, at the end, I will share my top 10 songs. This ranking came out, I wasn't sure how this one was going to come out, but I'd say it at least half came out how I expected. But again, I'm very familiar with most of their albums. I've listened to them all quite a bit. There was a few that I needed to go back to and listen to again, but I feel pretty good about this ranking, so let's go ahead and get into it. So, at the bottom spot, we have their first release, Cheshire Cat from 1995. The spread from worst to best is roughly a 7.4 out of 10, which means it's good, up to about a 9 out of 10, which means the top album is excellent. But Cheshire Cat, sitting down at the bottom. Best songs on this album are Eminem's Cacophony and I suppose the opening track, Carousel. You'll see that the singles are pretty solid on most of their albums, but this is just a really raw album. Vocally, it's their worst album. They hadn't really found their voices yet. So, I mean, musically, it's a fun album to listen to, but the hooks aren't there yet. The vocals aren't quite there yet. But it doesn't mean that there's not good guitar work. It's not a handful of catchy tracks, but it's just not their best album, you know? I could see how maybe back in the mid-90s or in the early 90s when they started out, if they played songs like these live, that it would be fun as shit. So, like, I get how during the time this was probably a great album, but just kind of like looking back, seeing what they've done ever since and how far they've come vocally in a lot of other ways, Cheshire Cat is just not their best foot forward. But it doesn't mean that it didn't lead to better things. So it opens on a solid note with 2 memorable singles. Not their best singles by any means, but then you have Cacophony. But otherwise, a couple of mostly kind of good tracks, but nothing memorable, nothing standoutish. So at the bottom spot, we have Cheshire Cat, their first release, with a lot better stuff to come. At the number 7 spot, we have their most recent release, 9, which is their second album with Alkaline Trio singer Matt Skiba. I personally think he was a great addition to Blink-182, and by addition, I mean, I guess replacement for Tom DeLonge. I mean, Tom DeLonge is the fucking man in that band, of course, along with Mark and Travis. Power trio. But Matt Skiba did a solid job. They've put out great albums with him. You know, they did what they can. They chugged forward. I just think 9 happens to be the weaker one, but it does have a handful of solid tracks. 9 is still the jump between the bottom spot and then the 7th spot is already pretty big. So 9 is actually a great album. Songs like Runaway, No Heart to Speak Of, a lot of great, powerful choruses and hooks on this album. You know, Dark Side is catchy, so is Heaven. Hung Over You is really a really beautiful song and really well written. But just nothing excellent on this album. I did listen to this album a bit when it came out when I was in Seattle, so I got a little bit of sentimental value here, but not too much compared to other albums. So 9, I know, makes it towards the bottom of most people's list, but I think Matt Skiba is a phenomenal frontman, and I think he's doing great in Blink-182, and 9 is definitely a great addition to this. Again, like with a lot of other bands I do, I don't really hate or dislike any of the albums. It's just some I might not listen to from front to back ever again, like Cheshire Cat, and others, the listens just might be more sparse. Number 6 spot, I might get some shit for this, but whatever. Stick around till the end. Their 1997 release, their sophomore album, Dude Ranch. So Dude Ranch is a much more polished and more well-orchestrated version of Cheshire Cat. The rawness is still there, but the singles are better. You got Damn It and Josie, which were much better than Carousel and M&M's. But Damn It and Josie are still not top-tier Blink-182 singles. Other than that, much like with Cheshire Cat, you got, you know, mostly a collection of good tracks here, but nothing super standoutish. But, like, you know, Pathetic is a solid song. So is Emo. But other than that, it's just mostly, you know, good songs. Enthused. The reason I initially wanted to put this one right above Cheshire Cat, but considering this is their sophomore album and what was pretty solid during the late 90s, I just had to give the edge to Dude Ranch over 9 because just seeing how far they came along from Dude Ranch to Cheshire Cat, and again, this is their second album, I give the edge to this one. But compared to the hooks and the maturity that would come out in later albums, I just think Dude Ranch still kind of sits towards the bottom of the number 6 spot. It's a much better executed version of Cheshire Cat. The vocals got better, the hooks got better, the consistency of the album got better, but it's just still not their top tier work. But I give it the edge again over 9 because as a second release and as a demonstration of growth, I have to give the edge to it there. Again, Damn It's a classic, one of the most popular riffs that beginner guitar players learn. And I love Josie. I love that single quite a bit. It's not one of my favorite songs of all time from them, but I got some solid memories to this one. Forgot to mention that what really got me back into Blink-182 was their Greatest Hits album back in like 2005. All right. Number 5 spot, and this is where some people might be like, how the fuck do you put this over Dude Ranch? But it's my ranking. Number 5 spot goes to Neighborhoods. Their long-awaited post-hiatus release from 2011? After having not put an album out since 2003. By then, both artists, Tom DeLonge and Mark Hoppus, and of course Travis, they'd all went off and done their own things, but their voices got better. I love Tom DeLonge's voice on this album. Sure, the singles like Up All Night and After Midnight might not be as memorable as stuff off of Dude Ranch, but just overall the rest of the album, Ghost on the Dance Floor, Heart's All Gone, Snake Charmer, Kaleidoscope, and the last track, Love is Dangerous. There's just a lot of maturity and a lot of depth there. There's a couple songs like This Is Home and Wishing Well where I'm not a huge fan of some of the choruses and some of the vocalese that they do, like the like whatever that shit's called. Blink-182 usually crushes those. I usually do not like whoa whoa or vocal melodies that aren't words, they're just sounds. Blink-182 usually crushes those, but on this album they kind of dropped the ball a little bit. So I'd say this album is just marginally better. Not marginally, I'd say a couple points better than Dude Ranch, just as a demonstration of maturity. And I know that commercially, it didn't flop, but this wasn't the comeback album everybody was hoping for. But I personally thought it was great. I listened to it quite a bit back in 2012. And I would comfortably put this kind of towards the middle. But as we progress past this album, and again, the top tracks are After Midnight and Snake Charmer. And also the transition tracks like Heart's All Gone, the little instrumental before that. I love that. Now that we got to the top 4 coming up, this is where the real top tier Blink-182 comes in. All right, so for the top 4, number 4 spot, I don't see a lot of people put this one higher up, but I fucking love this album. Their first album with Matt Skiba, California. I got this album in 2016 when it came out. Got a lot of good memories to this album. It was the summer before my graduating semester of college. It was a couple months before that Cockroach got elected to the presidency. So a lot of good memories and a lot of good feels here. And I don't give a shit if I just isolated part of my audience by making a political comment. Check out the rest of my channel while you're here. California is absolutely incredible. It is, what did I give it? I gave it like an 8.5 out of 10. This is the only album, I think, where the top tracks on the album aren't singles. I gave the two of my top 10 Blink-182 songs are off this album, Los Angeles and Sober. Sober is a fucking modern day 90s sounding classic, and this is where the vocalese, like the na 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 na. Sorry, I can't sing right now. Forever. Sober, that hook, that chorus, the entire song is just near perfection. It like perfection is hard to find, but Sober and then the chorus. I love the actual state of California, especially Southern California. Like I love Los Angeles and San Diego and all that stuff. So California naturally as an album where they're talking about the state and they're talking about the culture and the cities, and they have great songs named after cities like the actual song San Diego or Los Angeles. The closing track, California, hey, here's to you, California. Like it's just a very well written album, a great first appearance for Matt Skiba. The hooks are incredible. Bored to Death is a great single. It's not top tier Blink-182 single, but deeply overshadowed by non-singles like Los Angeles and Sober. But it's just a very consistent album. It's super easy to listen to from start to finish. A lot of guitar and vocal hooks here. Teenage Satellites, Kings of the Weekend have great riffs in them. The opening song, Cynical, with Mark Hoppus playing the bass, strumming it. And then, of course, Built This Pool, which isn't even a full song. But, Bohemian Rhapsody, Built This Pool, just kind of add that goofy Blink-182 from like the 90s back into the mix. So all in all, California is a great album. I don't think it gets enough love, but I think it was a great debut for Matt Skiba, and definitely the superior one with him thus far. Super fun to listen and easy to listen to. Great Blink-182 album. And now we get to the top three, the fucking golden ages of Blink-182. We all know more than likely that these top three were going to be these top three, but what order am I going to put them in? Frankly, I wasn't entirely sure what order I was going to put them in. I thought 2 would be 1, or 1 would be 2, and maybe 3 would be 2. I don't know. But the scores here basically get marginally better. No album really shits on the other or trumps the other. That word's been ruined. But we're in the golden years of Blink-182 now, from 1999 up until 2003. So let's get into it. Number 3 spot goes to Enema of State, which is a fucking awesome album title. Great album cover. This was 1999, a freaking golden year for music and pop culture and just everything. Basically my favorite year. I mean, I was only 8 years old when I lived it, but I got a lot of great memories of it. And then Blink-182, just writing some anthems for this time. This is where we're getting into some God tier singles. We got What's My Age Again, Adam's Song, which Adam's Song is just... Adam's Song, dude. And All the Small Things, which is my least favorite single off the album, but you can't deny its pop culture and its popularity and its appeal. But Enema of State was such a massive build on Dude Ranch. The guitar work got better. Their vocals got way better. The hooks got better. Going Away to College, great non-single. But what are some other songs that I really like? I guess Mutt, the first track, Dumpweed, which may or may not make me think of, like, I don't know, American Pie or some turn-of-the-century coming-of-age movie. But it's mostly the singles that do it for this album. What's My Age Again, Adam's Song, and All the Small Things. But Adam's Song is just a classic. It's a near perfect song. There's a lot of melancholy happiness to it, if that makes sense. But it's just an incredible album. Easily something that you can show to Blink-182, and this will be the first album you show them. Like, people are going to know the songs, and if they don't, they can really get into it pretty easily from here. And again, great name and great album cover, Enema of State. I think the reason why this didn't get number 2 or number 1, though, is because there weren't as many excellent or highly great non-single songs like Party Song, Don't Leave Me, Windy Clear. Like, they're good songs, but they're just not great enough to, like, elevate it to the top. But, like, the rest of the album really does easily elevate it to the top 3. But what's the number 2 spot? Well, it's the follow-up album, and basically the album that contains songs that originally got me into Blink-182, I think. I remember listening to singles from Enema of State when I was 8 years old. But anyway, Take Off Your Pants and Jacket from 2001. This is where the consistency, along with top-tier singles, really starts to take off. Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. Now, with regards to actual singles, if I were to take the 3 major singles and compare them to the 3 major singles of Enema of State, I'd probably say Enema of State wins. But I would say First Date. Wait, hold up. You got First Date, The Rock Show, and Stay Together for the Kids. I don't think there's any other singles on here. But I would say The Rock Show is kind of the... Wait, no. First Date is kind of all the small things of this album. Stay Together for the Kids might be the Adam's Song, and What's My Age Again might be the Rock Show. I don't know. Did any of that make sense? Either way, The Rock Show was on Now 8, along with Fat Lip from Sum 41, so I listened to Rock Show thousands of times when I was a kid, when it was popular. Still one of my favorite Blink-182 songs. Iconic riff, iconic song, super catchy, memorable lyrics. First Date, da-da-da, let's go. Like, just can't fuck with it. Stay Together for the Kids, great, excellent single. But the rest of the album, Anthem Part 2, and then, of course, it closes on such a high note. This is where the non-singles really start to get powerful. You got Reckless Abandon, which has, again, a great low-end guitar melody, just like Rock Show. Every Time I Look for You, Give Me One Good Reason, Shut Up, and then, of course, the best non-single on the album is Please Take Me Home, the closing track. So Take Off Your Pants and Jacket's just a little bit more consistent than Enema of State. It's got a couple more memorable guitar hooks, and I think it's just as catchy but slightly more mature version of Enema of State, and just based on what was going on at the time, I think that's kind of what put it towards the number 2 spot pretty easily. So I love Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. Definitely an album I wish I had listened to more fully back in the day. I didn't actually own it and listen to it until 2014. Anyway, but what's the number 1 spot? Well, it's the only one fucking left. It's their best album, hands down. They're self-titled from 2003. Now, this comes down to preference, and it comes down to nostalgia and memory and everything. On paper, I'd probably say an album like Take Off Your Pants and Jacket would be their best, but I really think that because of what I was going through in life and nostalgia, sentimental value, stuff like that, and just seeing how perfectly executed it was, Blink-182 kind of did a perfect amalgam of all their mixes, of all their sounds, experimentation, raw material. As far as I know, not a whole lot of raunchy humor in this one. It's kind of a serious album, but it's just executed so well. And the singles and the non-singles, like this album is just, it's excellent. It opens up with their best opening track, Feeling This. It's a powerful single. It's a powerful opening track. It's got a dangerously catchy hook. Like, they fell short this time. Like, the back and forth between Tom and Mark on this album is untouchable. A little bit of a drop with Obvious, but still a great song. But let's face it, their best song is on this album. And you might go like, oh my God, another person saying this. It's one of the best songs of all time. Not just from Blink-182, but just of all time. The song I Miss You is one of the best songs of all time. It's one of the few songs on my Ranked and Revieweds that I've given a 10 out of 10. I Miss You is a perfect song. I know all the lyrics, which is not common. Usually I butcher lyrics. It's the fucking chord progression, the music video. Again, the time, me turning into a teenager and going through some life changes with this album as a little bit of a soundtrack to it. Like, you just can't fuck with this album. Violence, like just the experimentation they did with like certain percussion instruments and like other things, like it was just really well executed on this album. Stockholm Syndrome, solid non-single. Their other best song though, Down, almost a 10 out of 10, but the singles on here, again, Feeling This, I Miss You, Down, and Always. Best music videos, pretty much their best singles overall. Just kind of like the slightly emo, but also still like the punk pop rock elements of this album just really elevated to the top. The back half of the album, aside from Always, it's great. It's not, putting this album towards like a perfect spot, but I would call this album excellent. From front to back, it's super easy to listen to, and the singles are just iconic and super memorable. So before I run out of time, let's recap and go through the top 10. From 8 to 1, it's Cheshire Cat, 9, Dude Ranch, Neighborhoods, California, Enema of State, Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, and of course, self-titled Blink-182 is their best album easily. Top 10 Blink-182 tracks, mostly singles. What's My Age Again, First Date, Feeling This, non-singles though. Los Angeles, Sober, so 2 Matt Skiba tracks made it on here. Always, Adam's Song, Rock Show, Down, and I Miss You. So be sure to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching or listening. Be sure to comment what you agree or disagree with, any Blink-182 stories you have. How would you have ranked your shit differently? What singles or non-singles mean the most to you? Be sure to check out the rest of the Ranked and Reviewed channel, where I do plenty of other metal and non-metal bands. It's mostly metal, but I'll be getting into some new bands here soon. And yeah, thanks for watching. Get well soon, Mark. We love you. And thanks for putting out such a beautiful legacy. I don't want to say legacy because I don't want to manifest that we lose you, but like, just regardless, like, let's just say you're retired. Thank you for putting out such a solid discography of music, man. You fucking rock.